Sun Prairie was a sleepy farming town when Atticus appeared on the big screen. Just 4,000 people in all. Children rode bikes wherever they needed to be, ate all the free sweet corn they could once a year, spent lazy days at a place called the Old Lake, and wondered what we could do not for ourselves, but for our country, as our president had asked. 10 years later, our president told us we had to know. He wasn't a crook. Teenagers borrowed the family car to drive to no place in particular. We'd fought 2 wars, one at home, another in a faraway land. The town's population had doubled, and a new moniker bandied about, suburb. And the old lake had vanished. This is a story of a lake, and it's kind of like a mockingbird. It doesn't hurt anyone. It just gives life to people and pelicans and all sorts of wonderful creatures. The lake has had many names. To the Ho-Chunk people, indigenous to the land, the lake was a crossroad of 2 trails they traveled, and they called it. They canoed, camped, trapped, and hunted on its shores. I think they would have thought it was a lot like a mockingbird too. Then, in 1841, a European immigrant came to its shores. William Patrick settled on one side of the lake, and he decided to name the lake Patrick Lake. But 4 years later, another immigrant came along. He settled on the opposite shore. His name was David Frazee, and he decided to call it Frazee Lake. But to many over the years, it came to be known as the Old Lake because it kept disappearing. Over the years, it's vanished 5 times in all. And in 1965, they killed the lake for a cornfield. It didn't happen without a fight that ended up in court. 2 farmers started to drain the lake to turn it into a cornfield, but an engineer with the state DNR happened to drive past and thought, wait a minute, it's against the law to drain a natural lake. So he went back to the office called the Attorney General, the Attorney General filed an action against the farmers, and like I said, it ended up in court. On one side was the state trying to save the life of the lake. On the other, the 2 farmers, and behind them was Harold Drainham Porter. He was with the Soil Conservation Service, and yeah, Drainham was his nickname because through the federal government, he had drained just about every wetland in the county to make cornland. There were witnesses and rainfall records and groundwater records, facts and science, but it came down to patents. Years and years back, the federal government had patented the land and given the patents to the landowners, and thus, the farmers won. The Old Lake Marsh suffered under the hand of man for the next 30 years. But in great irony, most befitting such a tragic lake, the process that destroyed so much natural land would end up being the resurrection and salvation of the Old Lake.
I wanna drive a faster car.
Highways. Yes, road construction. It was decided the highway that ran close to the lake needed to be expanded. And now the federal law was about to be on the side of the old lake because the Clean Water Act required states to replace wetlands they destroyed by construction. This gets a bit intricate, but suffice to say, this was back when Wisconsin was a forward state. Thus, it wasn't that crazy when the DOT and DNR joined together and bought extra land to bank for replacing wetlands destroyed by construction. They had purchased the farmland where the lake once stood. In 1991, the DOT disabled the pumps, pulled the drain tiles that had kept the lake dry, and it was back. Almost immediately, the old lake returned. Today, this area is called Patrick's Marsh, and on the map, the lake is called Frazee Lake.
Scout,
What's that?
you know what a compromise is?
Been in the law?
But to me, it's still the old lake. Perhaps the greatest lesson to be learned from Atticus Finch is empathy, something we sorely need more of right now. So I can't think of a better co-pilot in life than Atticus. This story seemed to be about a wayward lake, off course, coming and going, yet that's the nature of the lake and marsh. And for now, it's back, and it's able to be itself. With Atticus, I'm reminded to let all be themselves. And remember, you don't know till you've walked in their shoes. For Native American, whoops, do you have to be so loud? And on the lake, it's marked as Frazee Lake, is empathy. Fucking plane, hurry up. God. Patrick Frazee. Jesus God, Lord. What's my hair look like? All right, here we go. This is it. This is the take. Whew. All right. William Patrick settled on one side of the shore. Where's Buddy, you ask? It's just too hot out for Buddy. She'll be back next time.